Okay, welcome everybody to Robot Builders Night Virtual for the 21st of May, 2024. We'll do the usual agenda of some DPRG news updates and then a list of people who've got something to share, and then we'll open it up for general discussion. So on the just a reminder that this Saturday is the Roborama practice at the Dallas Makerspace. We'll have some pizza for lunch. There won't be any remote attendee support, so we're not going to have Google Meet going or anything like that. Want to share the migration status for the new email server for Google Groups. And
sorry, did you say what time the Saturday was?
10 o'clock.
Okay. Till
come on. You can do it. There we go. Are you all seeing? Yes,
yep.
You're seeing this. So the email conversion, I consider it complete at this point. I had 95 email addresses that I contacted, all of them both through the lists and individually. There are now 73 members on the Google Groups DPRG list. 24 people off the original list didn't respond at all, either to mails to the list or to direct emails to their email address. So they will get dropped. I did send a final message to the DPRG list, the old DPRG list, saying this is the end of the road. And there are 64 people who responded that they are receiving emails on the new DPRG list. So 64 out of 73 members, leaving 9 that I'm looking for confirmation from, and that includes you, John. So I can only do that. So the 73 on the list have all replied in the affirmative by email, expressing, or other ways, expressing that they want to join the list. So I know I have had contact with them. They weren't just blind ads. But then of them, 64 have actually confirmed that they are receiving email. 9 have not responded to both queries to the list and direct email queries asking them if they're receiving it. So I can only do what I can only do. One account said they're not responding, but I used a different account for them, but I still haven't got an answer back from that different account. There were 22 members of the new list who were not on the old DPRG list. So one of the open questions was always, we knew numerous people that were in the community were not receiving messages from the old DPRG list. The question was how many, and now I know that there were 22 out of 73 current subscribers who were never on the old DPRG list. 3 members of the new list, their email goes to spam. So, and they know it goes to spam now. So then, that's as much as I can do in terms of they need to take the next step to train their email to not send it to spam. Okay, so that was the email server update. So I'm not going to talk any more about this email server anymore. You're probably all sick of hearing about it, but it's been my life for the last since March. And Tom, you had advised me that I might well have to tell some people just move to Gmail. so far I've only had to say that to one person, but there may be more. We'll see. Something I want to discuss with the group here is RBNV and monthly meeting coverage during the summer. So this is a DPRG calendar starting for June, and basically Carl and Doug and I are out for overlapping portions. We aren't actually all out at the same time, it turns out, but Carl and I are out essentially all of June, and I'm sorry, Carl's out for the first couple of weeks of June. I'm out June, July, August, and part of September. And I'll be traveling in the RV, so my availability to join or host or Airbnbs is, I'll probably make a good number of them, but there's just no telling at this time. And I certainly can't sign up to do the admit people and record and all that jazz. So what I'm leading up to here is I'm looking for someone in this Airbnb community to help out here. Doug's out from mid-June to mid-July. He is actually back in time for the Moon Day exhibit on the 20th. But then Carl, there is actually a time when all three of us are out. But it's not doesn't cover an Airbnb night. So anyway, something for, and then Carl's out again in August, and I think Doug might be out in August some of the time. So, long story short, I think that to keep this meeting going, we need one or two more people who can host and record. And the current technology that we use for recording is what's the word? Byzantine, perhaps? Certainly brittle. So we're working on some ideas, hope to get them implemented to where we can hand over the reins to anyone without significant, like needing an extra laptop sort of support. So I'll ask it here, and you can answer now, or you can think about it if you want to. But do any of you on the line, are any of you willing to be backup for hosting this meeting, admitting people, and recording it?
Could you put the dates in chat that you need backup?
The dates? Did you say
June, July, and August?
Yeah.
But not necessarily all 3 months complete.
Right, and not necessarily every Tuesday within that. So I think we can give you notice a few days before of whether we would need some help. But I think we need. It's appearing that we need more than just the three of us that can host this thing.
So can you, I do like his, one thing I would suggest is circle the actual days right now that you know that there's none, okay? Because right now you're saying that there's overlap, but you don't know what exact days that's not overlapping.
Well, so I actually, not exactly.
Okay.
So if we go through so every Tuesday here, we got
Right.
the 7:30 RBNV call. So Carl and I are out on the 4th. Doug will be around. Same on the 11th. Doug and Carl should be in town the 18th. Carl should be around the 25th. But it only
Okay.
it doesn't
No.
take a lot for
What
the
are
one
the
person left
days?
in town.
Okay, Paul, back to what are the days when there's only one person? That's the key, Treshan.
Okay. All right. Good question. So I can put those dates in. They'll be this.
Right. See, because that's the real days that really we would be more concerned about in my mind. If there's
That's-
two, if there's at least two, we have a backup.
Good point.
Okay.
So it's going to be.
Yeah.
6,
You just
3.
post it in chat. That would be helpful.
I'm doing that.
Okay, great.
6:10.
Well, I was scribbling down as he was going down, but he wasn't getting the info I was needing at that stage.
Seven, 8.
Because
7:15.
It sounds like you're off by a day, Paul.
I am. Thank you.
Paul, normally if I log in the right way, I don't do that all the time. I can actually do the posting part. So that's why I was asking that, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, John. 7:15.
Because the one computer is a lot more happier when I log in a certain way, but I don't use that computer much. I tend to use this one. Yeah, it's not as nice.
16. And 8/6 is what it looks like. And let me just check the dates in June. Make sure I wasn't off by one. 6. Yeah, I was off by one the whole way down. Thanks for catching that, Tom. It's 25. Okay. There are the dates.
Okay.
And it, okay, so we can move on for now, but if you guys wouldn't mind consulting your calendar, like I said, we're going to try and improve the process, make it easier, less tortuous to do the meeting hosting and recording, but we're not quite there yet. But those are the dates when we would need some support. Okay, what else? Web updates. So can ask Doug later when he joins, but not seeing. But we are in the process of updating dprg.org with instructions for how to access the Google Groups archive and how to post via the web and via email and all that, because we got a question over email of how do I access this thing, and it's a fair question. We never documented it, so that documentation has been written and is going into the web at present. Any other DPRG thoughts, questions before we move on to the queue? Okay. Welcome, Harold. Actually, I just realized there was. Okay. So, Mike, thank you for that offer. Let me make a note. Be back up.
Howdy. Greetings, programs.
And I would expect, so at the moment, how it works, when one of us is going to be unavailable, we just email the others and say, hey, can you guys cover? And I'd expect that we'd do the same for whoever one or two people offered to help out. Hey, so one last DPRG thing, Harold, I just want to say thank you for your support in promoting the DPRG Facebook. I got a notice from Facebook saying that in the last week, the DPRG Facebook page reached 250 people.
Wow.
So I was like, all right, it's starting to turn a corner and starting to see some engagement through that channel.
I think I got a notice that I am like the top fan of DPRG's Facebook page too. So
I saw you posted that and I was like, oh, I never saw that before. All right.
I've had that on occasion with other things too, but I have no idea how they picked that. I mean, it's pretty obvious with this one because I'm sharing out the stuff and maybe the only one or only a handful that's doing that, right? And if that makes sense, I have no idea how I got picked up on the other stuff.
Yeah, but I think that your help is making a difference because 750 page views in a week is not shabby. It's
I don't know how many other group members here have a Facebook or even play with the Facebook account and do that on a regular basis. But that's how I stay in contact. So it's nothing when I see that stuff roll across my feed to go click, and done.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes me, 5 seconds maybe.
Yeah.
And it's something I support. I'm willing to support, and that's okay. I'm happy to amplify it in any way I can.
Thank you. All right. So in the queue, we've got John and then Jack. And anyone else for the queue? Ray? All right. John, you're up.
All right. If you guys want to pin my video display here, camera over here, looking at Roz, and I got my little thing here running. There, he's walking. There's an orange dot, and you can see it from here over there. He's walking towards. Can you see the orange dot at all?
Yeah, it's there. I see it.
He's got there, so now he's turning
Now
around.
he's turning around. Awesome.
And now he's coming back. Not quite the right direction, but live demos.
And he hits the wall.
And he hits the wall.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, I'm gonna have to go with Plan B, which is a video that I made
Well, that's
15
one
minutes,
point.
20 minutes before before this. All right, let me share my screen. I'm gonna share. Oh, I guess I should start the video up first. Hang on. Downloads. Okay. So let's see. Where's VLC? There it is. Okay, you guys can see this?
Yep.
All right. This I'm actually following because I'm recording it with my phone. So he gets kind of close to it, but not perfect. They didn't have it lined up exactly right, but
it looks like he might meet the 6 inches criteria.
yeah, well, I just have to do a better job of aiming.
Yeah.
And then he comes back. And
Now,
Oh yeah. It's just the wrong aim. Yeah.
is that 12 feet between those two pieces of tape?
no, it's actually about 15 feet.
Okay, cool. Yep, that's the right distance. Excellent.
Yeah.
Go Papa John.
So yeah, that's getting there. So that's my first like really good successful run in a while. So there's something else that came up that was really interesting that I saw as well, and I'm going to share. Let's see, where did it go? Window meet. Oh, it seems to have disappeared. Where the heck did that go? Balance droid. Sorry, just a second. There it is. Okay. So I don't know how many of you guys saw in Adam Savage's sort of latest tested thing. He built this really cute little droid, and let me grab. And this is a still frame from where he got another guy to do the CAD design, but he drew it up. So I'm just going to forward this a little bit so that you can see sort of more of the design. So it's a really cute little thing, and it's got sort of dual suspension arms, so it bounces up and down and stuff. So his is just a prop. It's just 3D printed stuff, and the wheels rotate and the suspension has springs, but that's it. It's all plastic. So I thought to myself, wow, that would be really cool to design something like this. So this is basically a wheel with a suspension arm where I'm thinking about having it servo controlled, like the actual suspension, and be able to move up and down. So what it's really doing, I'm moving the wheel, but in reality, it's the body that's going to be going up and down that this piece here is attached to. But having two of them like that, with a couple small servos controlling the arms to be able to move them independently, so we can tilt a little bit. And these things here, there's basically, these are the little micro gear motors. You can get them off of Ali with a right angle shaft and an encoder on the back. And so the idea is that there's a spur gear attached to that, and then a ring gear that's attached to the wheel. This big thing over here, if I hide this, not that. If I hide, where the heck is it? There it is. I'll go over to this side. So there's a big bearing. This is just one of those big open ball bearings you can get. You can get those off Amazon in that specific size. And so I can basically build a 2-wheel balancing robot using this concept. So that's kind of cool. I just did some work on this CAD model today.
Cool.
I thought that was kind of neat. It would make a really cool robot.
It is a cool looking robot.
So is that like a Lazy Susan bearing, just a big ring bearing?
Yeah. It's let me grab a link to that.
Yeah, I mean, is it for you?
God, what happened to my hold on. Balance droid. So I'll drop a link in chat for the bearing. That's on Amazon Canada, of course. And the motor is that. And so to give you a sense of scale, those wheels are 3 inches in diameter. So it's a fairly small robot. But I'm thinking ESP32 plus an STM32 to control it, do the balance, 9-axis IMU, probably three time of flight lasers, and one of those cameras, an ESP32 cam. So the Seed Studio has these little tiny guys this has a connector on it, and you can buy a little camera that attaches to that. It's called the ESP32 Sense, and they actually allow you to they have a really tiny ML model that runs on this, and you can do inferencing. It's not very fast, but it wouldn't need to be. If you're doing something simple, you could do some simple inferencing or stuff like that. So it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Some sticky. That goes with our dishes that we bought.
So that's it for me.
Thanks, John. Let's see, Jack, you are up next.
Can I have a minute? I'm struggling to get the video pulled up.
Yeah, sure. Why don't we jump to Ray?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. I have been working on a brand new platform to replace the platform. I think I started using it in 2015 and haven't upgraded it since. So this is the upgraded version. It's got 2 cameras on it, an OpenMV7, and then a Pixie Cam that is actually in this housing here, and it's looking up towards a reflector.
Hemispherical reflector.
What's that?
I'd say a hemispherical reflector.
It's not quite hemispherical, but it's I guess like a conical shape.
Yeah.
I'm not certain what the equation is for it, but it was the only reflector that I could find like this. It's from a flashlight that you can buy in Walmart's, and I think it's Ozark is the brand, but it's got a little base that also has a reflector on it. But kind of what it allows me to do is look around in 360 degrees. And I was going to use that to look for colored flags. And that'll be placed on either side of the goal. And one of the advantages of that is that if I ever enter a can soccer competition again, if you get bumped, it doesn't matter because the 2 flags or references aren't going to move, and it always is looking for them and seeing them and basically reporting its position back. So, I don't have to rely on odometry to navigate. I can just, I know the distance that the 2 things are apart. And one of the key things, there's several schemes where I tried using distance sensors, but there's not really, I was trying to use 2 of them and point them at 45 degrees forward. So it could do basically wall following to return the can to the goal. But there are some gotchas if the thing turns in front of the goal and has to decide, which sensor to look at, the left side or the right side. One of the sensors is looking through the goal, and I'm looking for the shortest distance. So I'm either going to have to add a sensor in that scheme to try to figure out, okay, or 1 or 2 sensors looking through a goal, in which case I can rotate appropriately to try to find one side of the goal wall, the other side. Because if I don't, it returns the can in the other goal. So anyway, this gets around a lot of those problems since it can see, in 360 degrees. It doesn't really matter which orientation the thing has. And it can see the flags. And
that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I noticed that my mapping, my slam function doesn't work good if it hits something. I mean, if it gets off of angle too much, then it's lost.
Yep. Yeah. So it doesn't rely on, not getting bumped or bumping into a wall or the corner of a goal or something.
That's great.
To be able to recover. And in can soccer, even more so because there's a pretty good likelihood that you're going to run into each other, so and bump each other. But anyway, I don't think it'll be ready for the contest, but
it's an interesting idea, Ray. Just wondering if you thought about how to calibrate it.
Well, I know the distance that I'm placing the 2 flags at the end of the goal are, it's 7 feet apart. So I can triangulate really well with that. I can be right in front of one goal, or not one goal, sorry, one flag or the other, and still be able to see the other one. And that, that works for all positions, inside the soccer field.
I can imagine some not too complex trig will do the functions for you.
Yeah. And actually I'm really just interested in, basically pointing, having a 0 degree angle between, where the 2 flags are.
So rotate until it gets to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So it'll rotate and go.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, I just need to know what those 2 angles to the 2 flags are. Mm-hmm. And just as long as they're equal, I should be able to hit the center of the goal.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there'd be non-linearities here, and maybe you can interpolate and it won't really amount to anything in the end. But I can imagine that if you're off center, then one of them is going to appear maybe higher because it's further away, and the other lower. But you can say that 7 meters between them, but you don't really know where you are on that line because of non-linearities.
I don't think it's going to be an issue. If the dome had if it wasn't a perfect casting or, a perfect conical section, I guess, or whatever, I could see how that could happen. But the blobs get, if I'm closer to one flag or the other, one is going to be larger than the other, but I'm going for the centroid anyway. So, it doesn't matter that much.
Interesting idea. What just sort of made me wonder, you can buy 360 degree cameras. I don't know if there are any that have interfaces suitable for getting computer vision off of them.
They're pretty expensive though, like, $300 and $400. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to win, Ray, sometimes I'm just saying. Yeah, somebody asked me how much it cost to build my Hugo bot the other day. I started adding it up, and I stopped adding after a while because I didn't want
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, even this thing, I've got 2 cameras, a RoboClaw, motor driver, 2 motors that I didn't get from Tanner's for the first time, I think, on a robot platform. Actually, picked them out in a, from a catalog. So as far as, maximizing parameters that I was interested in. So, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, it definitely adds up. It's not a.
Yeah. So Ray's being pulled to the dark side. Yeah.
To the dark side. What do you mean?
Oh, buying off the shelf stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, but it seems to work pretty good. I've got one weird thing that I've got to figure out. When I average the 2 angles, the calculation isn't right. I was looking at that earlier. It's like, okay, what happened there? It's just bizarre. It's probably something in code, some little hidden thing, but anyway.
So Ray, are you coming to the Roborama practice on Saturday?
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not, far enough along. I looked at too many things, and I think I built like 3 different 3-phase brushless motor platforms. I've worked on the outdoor robot. My mom had a stroke, so I had to deal with that for, over a month. And so probably not.
Okay. So does that mean not Roborama either?
I don't think so. I don't think there's enough time, but
I was going to cheer you on because you've been like slapping down Scott. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say he might have to play with himself, next time, but I'm sure he does that a lot anyway. So.
Ow!
You're moving right along. Jack, are you ready now? Are you muted?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm ready. Thank you.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Right. So,
do you need more time, or are you okay?
No, I'm ready.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. So last semester, for the final semester projects, I got to work on a Raytheon competition where we developed a drone that would compete against other colleges, and we each college had a rover also that would go along the grounds, and you're supposed to have your drone shoot everyone else's rover. And a couple weeks ago, we had our competition, so I was going to show you all the video of that.
Cool.
Oh, cool.
So what actually got shot? Is it, beams of light?
Oh, yeah. Water.
Oh, water. Okay.
Yeah.
So a non-military application.
Right, yeah. Wanted to do missiles, but fortunately they weren't okay with that. All right, can you all see that? All right. So there's the drone there on the fields. It's about to take off. And now it's beginning the search. Or actually it's going to its first starting point.
That looks like one nice drone. Who supplied
that? It was nice. So every team got, I believe it was $5,000 in total they could spend on the drone and rover. And I think we spent about half of that. So now it's beginning the search. And that first rover it passed by was our own. So then it saw the next rover. And that's going down to shoot it. was kind of interesting. So there's the computer science team that I worked on, but then we also had an electrical engineering team, and they built the drone. So it's kind of nice to get to work with both sides.
Was this autonomous or?
Yeah, it's both the rover and the drone are fully autonomous.
Okay.
Yeah. The judges were very gutsy. There were some scary drones that day. So there it's getting ready to shoot. I think the wind throws it off, however, this time. Oh no, it did shoot. Yeah, there. I didn't do a great job filming, but I'm not sure if you all can see the stream coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it a timed competition or?
So I think the drones were timed. It was more kind of up to the judges. So because a lot of the rovers were not designed well, because each rover was supposed to have an RQ marker, and a lot of them didn't put the RQ marker on in the right way. And so they'd kind of deduct points from that and give you some slack for missing it or something, you know? And so they do things like that, or but ultimately it was down to how many of the rovers you hit and how quickly you did it. Yeah.
And the rovers aren't supposed to be evading?
No. It was just supposed to drive from the one side to the other. They were hoping to have it do some
It's on there.
somewhat invasive maneuvers where it would randomly turn and change to different areas, but I ended up canceling that for time.
So were all the drones handmade then, or?
Yes, yeah. Some people did just buy some off-the-shelf drones, but they didn't work that well, and definitely couldn't shoot water.
That would have been a real interesting, if you were allowed to evade, it would have been a really interesting strategy. You could have essentially looked for shadows. You know,
Yeah,
you could say if you saw a shadow, you moved away from it.
Yeah, that would have been very interesting. However, most of the rovers couldn't even move. So
Okay.
it didn't. Ours went, and a lot of the drone. I think our drone was the only one that actually shot any rovers that day.
Okay. So you could shoot back at the drone?
Oh no! I'm sorry.
No.
Our drone was the only one that sprayed any of the rovers with water that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did that mean you won?
Yeah, we definitely won.
Hey, cool.
The second place one, their drone flipped over and crashed. But it was able to recognize a drone at least.
Mhm.
Or, I mean, a rover.
Well, I think that deserves a star. What do you guys think?
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty good, Jack.
Yeah, that was a fun one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're out of it, right? You're a senior, right?
Yeah, actually, I just got my first job today.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
very
That's
excited
cool.
about that.
Okay. Yeah.
So where are you working?
A company called Trellix.
What was the name again?
Cybersecurity. Trellix?
Yeah.
It's a cybersecurity company.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
Mhm.
That's great. Is it here in Dallas or?
Yeah, it's in Plano. So it's like 20 minutes
Okay.
away from where I live.
Yeah. All right. So that's cool.
Yeah, excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll have to keep us up on how it's going.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, that's cool. Paul, you're muted.
Can't hear you, Paul.
What part of the drone did you work on, Jack?
Oh, yeah. So I worked on programming the computer vision part of it. So I programmed a class so that it would recognize the markers, and then it would, based on the GPS coordinates that I was given, it would be able to calculate the marker's global coordinates, and also get its velocity. So that was a lot of fun. And then also some other little things like preparing the drone's computer, because that was a nightmare. If anyone is thinking about ever using a Jetson board, I wouldn't recommend it at all.
Really?
Why is that?
Oh, sorry. So with ours, what ended up happening is it doesn't seem like they provide support for them very long. Because with the one we had, it was a couple years old, but you had to download a very specific version of Ubuntu, and it had to be an older version, and you couldn't run it on a virtual machine. It had to be actually downloaded on your computer. You couldn't download it on a Raspberry Pi. That didn't have the necessary requirements. So it's just very difficult to get up and running, and didn't seem like it had great support if it was old.
So old was only 3 years old, you're saying?
I think it was about 3, maybe 4 years old. Yeah,
Wow.
I don't remember exactly how old.
That's
but it wasn't
ancient
that
in the
old.
GPU industry.
Sure, I mean, I get that, but at the same time, to not really offer much support and make it that difficult to get up and running seemed a little much.
Yeah,
You
I've
should
heard
see the old stuff we
stories
dug
like
off the
that.
shelf today.
I'm sorry?
You should see the old stuff we dug off of the DRG shelf today.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Under a quarter inch of sawdust. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of old stuff, I'll be bringing some Arduinos and other junk. I say junk. It's not junk, just stuff I'm never going to use. To the thing on this Saturday, and you can have whatever you want off of it. Got a lot of stuff. I think it's a lot of stuff anyway. I want it out of my garage. So.
And I think that we found some stuff on the shelves that we're going to throw in there anyone can have anything that they want, and at the end of the day, it goes to the trash pile. Well, thanks for sharing that, Jack. That was
Oh, yeah, thank you.
way cool. So I guess I'm putting myself next in line to share. Let me just bring it up and make sure I got the right. Yeah, there we go. So let me present. You guys seen this?
Mm-hmm.
So this was the crew, some of the crew, yeah, all of the crew that showed up to put Roby the robot together. It's Ron Grant, previous past president, holding the leaf blower and the parts of the robot. And then there we are, standing beside him. He's 7 feet tall. We didn't get any power applied to him, but we got him assembled. Yeah.
Was the leaf blower used to dust him off, or what?
Yeah. We took him outside to blow him off with the leaf blower and then wipe him down with rags and get all the sawdust off of him. And I noticed when I was looking at the picture, there's Mike giving some rabbit ears behind Robbie, and there we are at the DPRG shelves in the makerspace, pulling down stuff and vacuuming, and yeah, that's it. And then I had let's see. One other thing I was going to share. Oh yeah, just walking past the animatronics lab. I love these things. These things are so cool. And we were talking to one of the, I don't know who he was, a DMS guy outside, and it occurred to me that there's really the animatronics folks are about making something move so as to give it some kind of appearance of life. And our club is really much more about autonomous movement, and achieving goals autonomously. But it occurred to me that, so he said that the animatronics group of DMS has some prop designers in it. And so this is what they do for their job, and that's why they make such cool stuff. And I thought, wow, there's some synergy there that maybe could be exploited. So I don't know.
Yeah,
but
make Ruby real cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if any of them might be interested in helping us make Roby better, or if we would want to help animate their robots in some fashion that might be beyond what they might know how to do. But it seemed like an interesting idea. Hey, okay, so that was, oh yeah, the other thing that I wanted to share was the Roborama trophies. So we're going back to the retro look of the DPRG mascot robot that Ron Grant initiated. So anyway, I got all of these built over the week. There's first, second, and third place. First is red, second is yellow, third is blue, for each of the 4 contests.
Okay.
And John or Tom, also there will be trophies for the remote competition too. But we'll only make the ones that you guys compete in, and we'll send it up your way.
Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you. I was thinking virtual trophies.
No, you'll get a trophy. It might take a couple weeks, but it'll eventually get there.
Well, we'll do our best to succeed.
Yeah. So
I can send pizza too.
Might be a little hard, but
we're making our own plans for pizza. Thanks.
and there's prize money as well. I think what did we settle on, Doug? Was it
okay? Well, first is going to be 50, and then second is 40, and
that's right. Third is 30.
30, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, FYI, regard to this coming Saturday, I think there actually going to be somebody there that might want to snap pictures, interview that from the makerspace full graphic part. So, Paul, you might bring one or two of the trophies along just to show type thing.
Okay, thanks.
That's good input, John.
That's awesome. I was hoping that we could somehow connect with the DMS.
I forget exactly what their label is for it, but anyway, they're trying to going to do basically a 1 month project where they'll film something or another, and in fact, one night they went into a little bit of the end of the scene roller thing that they did the other month. So that's why I was saying that, there might be somebody there filming or interview or ask for that reason. at least their schedule are planning to be for at least this coming Saturday. I don't know about the Saturday after that one, the actual competition one. I know that they're, at least it's on their radar regard to this Saturday.
Cool.
And then with that, I don't know if you have anybody else, but I have a couple things I can show, especially one that Ray might find interesting. So I'm will share a screen once I get right one.
Well, while you're getting set up, John, let me ask Doug, do you have any website updates to share? Was that still in a work in progress?
So Ray, I saw this and I thought of you and your acreage. So I don't know if you've seen this or not before.
Yep.
But
yeah, you can put different attachments on it.
For attachments, now they have a rim blower module besides snow. And it's interesting because when they do pre-order for it, and somewhere down here, well, they have a nice picture of it, powering, I guess, the leader. And they talk a little about how much pounds it can pull, and that was what really caught my eye. So you can tow a camper. So if you have a camper you need to move around in the yard, you can do that seemingly almost.
Boy, that seems pretty high for a little unit like that.
Well, that's what I thought, but supposedly it can do up to 6 acres. So it must have a pretty decent battery in it.
Yep.
So that was the other thing that caught my eye.
Totally, 3,500 pounds. Wow.
So yeah, that's why I said you can see it's big, but it's not that big.
Must be pretty heavy though.
Of course, I wonder,
like riding lawnmower.
The pulling force on the tow hitch is probably maybe 300 pounds or something, but
right, and it has traction, so
yeah.
So it might be possible. So yeah, that was the one thing that was of interest. And I don't know if they have any video. I don't see anything that looks like a video type thing to show it. But here's the price for it. Not too bad a price for it, I guess.
Wow.
Considering what it can do. I think the smaller lawnmowers are like $2,000, so I'm thinking, they don't have options.
You could automate it and use it for a Robo Columbus.
Well, that's where in Bradley I thought but a little big, but
about the cost of a low-end zero turn, I guess.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And then after that, let's see, I think right here. That gets me to that robot. And the way it moves. So I thought was a little flexible.
It's a little creepy.
Yes.
It looks like Robbie, the robot.
So yeah, that was, and it's not cheap if you know it's the price. So yeah. Okay, and I have not clicked on this, so I have no idea what it would do if I do that, but we'll see, I guess. It looks like it's
Yeah, aren't we all supposed to have humanoid robots soon? I think that's the idea.
We can get it to replace Roby. as our new mascot.
Ooh, wow, that's pretty light.
It's pretty compact.
Ooh, there you go.
So,
Seems like a good idea to give a robot a weapon and teach it how to use it.
so that's about what I have for that. Uh-oh, I may have problems. I may need to log off. So anyway, I can't find the other screen. So anyway, that's all I have for tonight. So I'll talk with y'all tomorrow.
Cool. Thanks, John.
Well, that's John.
Hey, Doug, are you there?
What?
Yeah, I'm here, but that's John.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was curious whether you had any updates to share about the website.
Well, we're working on it, guys. We're trying to make it easier to use. So you might see some changes. I think the big thing is trying to get good instructions on how to get put on the Discord server and on the new mailing list. Those are two areas that we're right now. It pretty much boils down to call Paul. So we're trying to get that improved. We made some front page shifts, try to get more things above the fold. And yeah, you take a look at it, see if you like it. If you like it, let me know. One of the things I wanted to bring up, though, John, can you stop sharing, or how do we get this from stop sharing? John, can you stop presenting?
I think he's frozen.
I unpinned it and it went small. So
Yeah, me too.
You did what?
I unpinned it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, John's image is frozen, so I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure. What did you guys hit?
Did you
I just
hover over it?
unpinned it.
Oh, okay. All right, well, that worked. I got something. I'm going to just throw this out. I'm not, it is Memorial Day. So I think this is related to that. Let me, okay. All right. Well, this is their new 30-30, which means 12 inches by 12 inches. And this is pretty nice. You can look out on YouTube and get some video.
Aurora Tech just did a review of this.
Yes, and it's got an all aluminum table. It has a ball screw, yeah, on all three axes, linear channels on all three. So it's really got all kind of the nice stuff. Okay. And the only thing that I didn't see that it has that some of their others have is the some of them now have essentially they have stepper motors with encoders,
they have a name for it, but I'm not sure exactly how they say it. It's something like following, step following stepper motors or something like that. But essentially, they're if you look them up, they're really cool because essentially if it misses a step, it catches up. All right, unless you get like a half of a revolution away. So it's really pretty cool. Now, so they got them for $849 here. But if you slide down here, they will throw in this wireless offline controller and drop the price for the combination to $795. So that's like $50 off. Plus you get this wireless offline controller. And I'm thinking I'm going to go for this. So I just letting you know, because I think it's a pretty good deal.
I think they liked it. I think Aurora Tech, I mean, there were some pros and cons like they always do, but I think they really had a positive review there.
Yeah, I looked at their pros and cons, and some of them, their biggest con that I thought was legit was the lack of bellows on the Z-axis and on the Y-axis.
Yeah.
But those, other than that, it was a very positive review. So adding bellows to the Z-axis wouldn't be hard. That's pretty easy. Y-axis might be a bigger problem. So I don't know about that.
So meant to mainly mill aluminum?
Yes, it can definitely do aluminum. I don't think any of them claim to be able to do steel, though, I'm sure.
Extremely slow feed rates, maybe.
Yeah, who
You can
knows?
do wood as well, right? Or
Wood it can just zip through. And it comes with a second, you can see that blue thing that goes around the spindle.
Yep.
They come with an additional blue thing that is sized for a Makita router, which is everybody's favorite upgrade, because it's got just it's like a 1.5 horsepower motor. This one is 300 watts, so that's a little over half a horsepower. We're about right at half a horsepower. What is 588 watts per
I thought
horsepower?
it was 750.
Is it 750? Oh, so
Yeah,
maybe it's a third, maybe close to a third then. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just saying is, so this one will do aluminum, but you probably expect to have a spindle upgrade sometime in the future if you wanted to get your speed up. So anyway, I just thought, I've been watching these guys for a long time, and everyone that I've seen, there's always been a problem. Otherwise, they didn't use linear slides. They didn't use ball screws. They're all just, everyone had, or they used them on some of the axes, but not the other ones. But this one looks like you put it all together. And I don't have much space, so 12 inches by 12 inches is probably the limit for me. Somebody who has a big barn like Ray, he might want the bigger one. But for me, this is probably all I can really logistically handle. So,
what's the bellows that you were talking about, Doug? What is that?
Well, okay. You remember those old cameras that had, like, when you pulled the lens off, it had a bellows between the lens and the actual body? Well, you can think of half of that. You can put it over here, and it goes from the slide, the vertical slide, up to the top of the mount, and from the vertical slide to the bottom of the mount. And there's a bellows there, and it protects the linear slides and the ball screw.
Yeah, the other thing you could say is dust covers for all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there is a good on the Z-axis. I'm sure you've all, there's a German machinist. I can't think of his name right now, but he's pretty astute. And what he's done on things like this is used a very light leather with magnets to cover that area. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, there's ways to solve some of these problems. I'd have the y-axis, which you can see here, is pretty long. I'm not sure I don't know how you would effectively keep it clean unless you actually went across the front of the whole bed. So anyway, I just thought since it's on sale, that I thought that might be something people are interested in.
Cool.
Yeah.
Could you post the link to that in the chat, please? Thank you. Now that I got an income, I was wanting to get a CNC machine.
Yeah. Let's see. Gotta find the right. Okay, chat. Here she goes. Boom. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Doug. Well, we've probably reached open mic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I have a little update on my robot that I'll be bringing Saturday.
Yeah, let's hear it, Mike.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, I got it doing the 3 competitions on my smaller cord at home, and it's able to do 7 cams in 3 minutes.
Oh, that's good.
So it's competitive. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But every once in a while, it was grabbing a can and then just going in a completely wrong direction. And
Ray wouldn't know anything about that.
and I realized it's when most of the time it's when I put a can in the corner, and so when it went into the corner, and I had the SLAM algorithm running, it just got confused because the points got crammed together in a really small area, I think. And so I added to the code to disable SLAM when it gets in a situation like that.
Yeah.
And it works better. So.
Yeah.
But it's still every once in a while, but less often, goes in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we get a couple tries, so that's good.
Yeah. And sometimes we need them all.
Yeah.
And sometimes all you get is still not enough.
And I'd replace my little servo motors running my grippers. They sort of burnt out or something, grabbing on the wrong stuff and getting stuck. And so I got some with metal gears. Maybe that'll help.
Well, do you know if they were stripping the gears?
I don't know, but one of them I pulled it off and it was like a 1/4 amp or something. So
it was what?
I don't know what happened to it.
So it was drawing like 250 milliamps or something?
Something like that, yeah. It just got stuck and it just wouldn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, even those old ones that burn out or whatever you want to call them, if you're going to keep using that type of servo, you can usually salvage some of the gears because I've had to rebuild gears a couple of times. In fact, they used to offer gear rebuilds. Otherwise, you could buy an extra set of gears to pop in there. But I haven't seen that option.
Well, I have a big box of bad servos from last year's robot. It was going through them left and right. It was the white plastic gears.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just bought a couple of metal geared S90s or C90s, SC90s.
90Ss. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I found looking at people on the webs on Amazon, there's apparently a lot of, they call them metal gears, but they're really not metal gears. If you really look at them, only the output gear is metal and the rest of them aren't. So I said, well, I know how to fix that. I got some with transparent cases and looked at them. And sure enough, yeah, MG90. Yeah, you got to make sure that you get the ones with all metal gears.
Yeah, it has a see-through cover. It looks the metal color on the inside.
Yeah, a lot of times they're blue, the ones in the past, but these ones are actually, well, I guess they are blue or gray. But I've got something similar. So,
but they make a lot of noise, a lot more than the plastic gears, but it doesn't matter.
yeah. This also, by the way, would probably be a replacement for a Pi Dog one. So just let you know, Paul. They're not very expensive. You just, but like I say, you want one that's got metal gears through the whole train.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough sometimes. You have to read the reviews real carefully.
I'm going to find out.
Yeah.
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 So, I'll bring an extra one and the tools to replace it to the competition.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is a wise man.
Yeah. So I got another little, I think I have another little show and tell that might be of interest. Give me a second. I'm not endorsing this, but I'm just saying it's an interesting way of doing things. This goes on the bottom, plugs into your Raspberry Pi. And this is a SATA port right here. So like if you have an old 250 gigabit, SSD that's got SATA, which, it means it's kind of old probably. This would be a way of putting it back into use. And it'll work with, if you have a USB 3 port, it works faster. So that means a 4 or a 5, but it will fit onto a 3. So, you could put it on a 3, you'd just be going at USB 2 speeds, but it'd still be faster than an SD card. But, it's an interesting way of doing it. I'm not sure. I almost would prefer to go this route, where you get a little case and some sort of, this lead is long, but you can get shorter leads. And let's see if this one's locked up. But anyway, these you can put a NM something in E, the faster drives, and cheap drives. You can buy a drive for $12. So 128 gig, quick $12. The case costs more than the drive.
Can the Pi boot off of the USB or?
Oh yeah, you don't have to have. You no longer have to have. Here's what those little drives look like. They look like this.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
and they're not SATA. They're called M2, and it has to do with the way the key is set. There's a key in the pin out, the pin connector, and there apparently over the years there's been 2 or 3 different standards, but the new ones are the ones you want are the M2s. And you can buy cases for it. Anyway, I just thought that's might be of interest to folks. Yeah, I'm not using SD cards on any of my computers anymore. I'm using, I mean, shouldn't say that. On a robot, I might use an SD card. I might use it on a robot, not, but around the house, I'm not using it for sure. And especially if you're using a 5, you have those boards that fit on the top. Let's see. I think I've got one of those. And they look like this, sort of like this. You can see the drive there on the top. Those are pretty. That's probably, if you're using a 5, I think this is the best solution. Because the drive is $12 and the board is about $12 to $13. So $25 and you're good. So that's probably the solution. This particular one has that on the front side and has this camera on the back side, so he's pretty decked out. So we'll see how he might be. The problem is I'm trying to also use the depth camera on the light, so we'll see how that goes. What do you like? Just a few thoughts.
Well, yeah, my Pi on my robot, a month ago or so, I decided to install Git and GitHub and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I use VS Code on my computer to remotely update the files on the Pi on the robot, and then I get on the robot, which I commit to, and then it can sync up with the GitHub. So, so I'm finally protected. Before I wasn't protected. Like
using Git is a truly good practice.
Yeah.
And
I was just a little antsy about that.
Yeah, but you do have to have discipline. I know, you always say, well, I'll add one more change to it. And that's when it goes south and blows up in your hands. And you got to go, whoa, what happened there?
That's why your commits should be like Minion and like, Despicable Me Minions.
Yeah.
Very small and numerous.
Yeah.
And so something goes bad like that, you're like, hey man, I want to try this crazy thing. Cool. Git switch-c, which makes a new branch. Give it a new branch, and if it works, great. Now you got something to work on. If it doesn't work, go back to the old branch and say delete that other branch, and you're done.
Yep.
You keep track of all that. So pretty cool.
Yeah. I usually try to not commit until what I was trying to fix got fixed, and then I commit it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do, Mike, and unfortunately, that's not the way to do it. I think Harold's got the right way to do it.
It can work if what you're trying to fix is a very, very small thing. So keep your fixes small and understandable, and then you rotate and you iterate through those really fast. Like, the fix is this should have been a plus sign, but it was a minus sign. So make a plus sign, and literally it doesn't cost you anything to go git commit done, and then now that's committed. And if you got to roll back to that, you're back to that. So literally, I don't want to say you need to make a one character change and make a commit.
Yeah.
If you make a change and it's a positive change, go ahead and commit it.
I want to say Visual Studio Code will prompt you with like, you haven't made a commit in 15 minutes or 28 minutes. I think
it may.
One of the ones I've got has got that, but
it may. But I haven't seen it. That doesn't mean it exists. I mean,
Yeah, but I haven't even stopped looking at the screen and drooling yet. Before that timer would go off, so that my commits might not be real meaningful. So, but I do think that I'm still trying to develop good habits with that. I fight it.
No, you can go overboard on that. The place I worked at up in Boston, we had a couple of guys who used an editor, an IDE. I've forgotten the name of it, but it used to automatically commit about every 5 or 10 minutes, and then when they'd go to check in their change, then suddenly the tree would get like a chain of commits this long, and it made it really hard to figure out, like put their change in the context of other changes.
Yeah.
That's called being an over clever person, and the failed state of being over clever. The failed state of being over clever is asshole. And so you need to go walk up to that person and say, cut it out, because you're not playing well with the rest of the team. If you really, truly want to commit that much, do that yourself. Make the commits meaningful. Like I say, a positive step forward, commit it. Just don't commit it just to be committing it, because you run into what Paul runs into right there. The merge graph gets insane, and it never works. Yeah.
The VS Codes I offered a few times, it said, you want to go in auto commit mode? And I always say no.
No.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
But something that you can do in Git is to collapse the commit history to down to, like, if you got 10 commits in a row, you can collapse them down to one, and it just puts all your commit comments together and makes it one commit.
Yeah, I believe it's squash is
yes, thank you. That's squash.
Yeah, squash on your own branch and never commit broken code to main.
Yep, those are good rules. Those are good rules, sir, too.
Right.
Although they get broken all the time, but those are good thought.
Committing to main is merge, isn't it?
Well, it depends.
Oh.
It depends on what you're doing. I don't want to turn this into a Git discussion. I'm a big fan of merging, and especially if you're doing this just by yourself and you're the only one doing this, a Git merge, combining the stuff on the server with the stuff you just changed and merging them together, creates a merge graph. And as long as you're okay with yourself doing that, it's probably not a problem. The other way to do it is called a rebase. Now, rebase is really cool, and all my high-end, really cool friends swear by this. Yeah. I don't like it so much because it changes history. But what a rebase does is you have the local thing over here. You have the thing that's on your server, your local stuff over here. Now, you've made changes. What a rebase does is it rolls back both of the files so they're exactly the same, and then uses the time to insert the changes, whichever, like if this had 2 changes and this had a change here, and then we had a change here, and they had 4 more changes here and a change here, and it rolls them together like that, which for larger teams, as long as everybody's agreeing to do that, it makes these merging things way better in the long run. But you got to have an agreement for that. For most people, though, the merge is what you want to do. It keeps it nice and straight and simple, unless you merge it into itself, which obviously people do weird things like that. And I don't know how you screwed that up, but I had people screw it up by doing that. But that's what they claim to do. I have my doubts. But once you put all those together like that, it can be really easy. And as far as what we're doing here and the work we're doing, Git merge is probably
the way to go.
Probably the way to go. Yeah. I'm sorry I had to explain all that because some of that gets stuck in my head because I'm helping people on a almost daily basis doing some of this stuff, and I'm a big merge fan, and all my really cool high-end people are all rebase fans, and they look at me sideways. But I don't have to do things called like force pushes, which a force push says, okay, local person over here, you're saying I can't put my stuff in here because those changes are going to conflict. Well, screw you. I'm going to force push, so you will take what I'm going to give you, and you're going to like it. And now on you can do that yourself, and it's great. But on bigger teams, when you do that, you just reset all that merge graph and all that kind of stuff for everybody else on the team that now has to pull that down. So it happens all the time. It's just can be problematic. I didn't mean to get into Git world crazy.
No, Git is good stuff. It really is, and it's good stuff for people to understand. And to your point about merge versus rebase, it really is a big deal. And I've seen on teams where the software leader said, "Thou shalt do a rebase. Thou shalt not do a commit." do a merge, and it really can make the history much easier to follow, because like Harold was saying, a rebase replays your changes on top of the last commit to main, and so you get all of your changes and commits as one continuous string when you rebase them on top of main, whereas with a merge they all kind of like end up. It's not as easy to follow what's going on and what went where. So when you got a team of like a dozen people, rebase is, I think, the way to go.
Yeah, that is for the larger teams. That's usually the argument that's made when that's happened, and it's a good argument. It's just what people are comfortable with doing. In fact, I've got a thing here. If one of these times we want to play Get Tic-Tac-Toe, a friend of mine has got a repo out there that we can fork a repo, and the idea is that you pair up between two people and they play a game of tic-tac-toe, which is basically you're writing to the same file, you're on the same branch, and one of you writes to it, one puts an X, one puts an O, that kind of stuff, and so you got to work through your merges or your rebases and the conflicts and all that kind of stuff that can occur on the thing. And it was, I can't say it was a lot of fun because but it was helpful to our other team members that had no idea what they were doing with Git, to get them more used to, because when it comes down to it, there's about a half a dozen commands. They become finger macros after a while, and you don't even think about what you're doing when you're doing this because you do it so often, and you got to get to that stage with Git, and it just makes things, I think, a whole lot. Gives me a whole lot more comfort when I'm doing stuff and I want to do crazy crap, and I'm like, hey, I'm about to blow this up. Let's get somewhere else. So if I know this works and I want to go over here, give me a branch and let me do crazy crap over here. And if this is better, great. If it's not, get branch delete, and then that thing's gone and it's not a problem anymore, and I don't care about it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I drug us into Git world, and I
need the preaching, Harold. I need the preaching.
I didn't mean to be all preachy. I certainly
no. I'm just saying. I just need to, constantly think about it because I have a tendency to forget about it in the heat of battle.
Yeah, and you had this working thing, and then you go work on some stuff because you're trying to do better, and the next thing you know, something's not working, and you can't remember all the different things you did. Right.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So you all ought to have a tool equivalent to GitK. GitK is a Linux tool, but they have to be Windows equivalent.
There's a when you install Git for Windows, you get a GitK installed as well.
Cool. Yeah. So it shows you the history, and just to illustrate what the point that we're talking about a rebase versus merging. Here they're using merging. And so you can see at this point, someone made a branch to fix a bug in ambiguity resolution. They made another commit. Then they merged back into main. So the main tree goes up through here, but they kept on working, and they made another commit, and then they merged further on up the main tree. And then they kept on working some more up to here to a temporary fix for Qt apps, and then they merged again. So it gets merging in these scenarios gets to be a zoo, whereas if you rebase, you just end up on top of main. And so anyway, I'm sorry, I shouldn't go down the path of recommending rebase because, like you said, Harold, merge is sufficient for all single person type projects.
Yeah, for almost everything we're doing right here, merge is more than what you is exactly what you need.
Right, but just to say that GitK is the tool that you really want to use to understand the branches that you've made and what was in them. And so, like, for example, one thing you can do, and let me just find an example that I can, so I'm looking for why can't I see the deltas, the files that were changed? So I need to expand something here. Because normally I'm used to seeing which file was changed and what the change was. I'm going to have to go dig around and find out why I can't find that. Okay, I'm going to unshare this for now.
Hey, Harold. Okay. I've got one more Git question here.
Okay.
Okay, I've got a project, single person. Okay, so it's just me. But you know, I've broken all my functions out into different files. So I have motor functions, servo functions, navigation functions, whatever. And then you know you have your main file, which probably has no functions in it, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So should you, every time you know, and sometimes when you're trying to accomplish something, you're involving 2 or 3 different files. Should you commit whenever you leave a file, or should you wait until you finally get the idea that you were trying to do?
No, I wouldn't, because a lot of times you may have to change 2 or 3 files to get your positive step forward.
Okay,
right?
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
but I just,
yeah. As soon as, I mean, if you really want to, you can. But I think that's just not necessarily a waste of a commit, because what's going to happen is every file will have its own commit tree. It'll own merge tree and own section of cache. I used the wrong words there, but I think you get the idea. Each file will have their own list of things that were changed to it. So changing a file here and changing a different file here, they will still, those commits will be all in one big commit, but they're assigned to each file individually. So whether you do it once for all of those files for the positive step, or once for each file, that's I think that's too much work. I think you do it for all of them. And also, there's a git space add can be your friend and your enemy at the same time, because what will happen is if you have some trash file sitting out there that you were using for temporary for things, because I do this a lot. I'll get something and I'll put out a JSON file or a text file that's got some just junk in it that I need to remember that my copy paste buffer is going to override or do something with, or I want to keep it around for a while, but I don't really want it for my source code. And you do a lot of people do a git add space dot. That adds everything in this repository. And now sometimes you want to do that, and sometimes you don't, because then you probably just added that junk file into your repository, and it's there until you then go remove it again, which is another commit and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, when you just do what do they put it on a git ignore?
You can put it if you want to go to the git ignore, you could name it something that you know is always going to be ignored, and that's great. I usually have a very, very stringent habit of doing a git status to see what I'm about to do, and then follow that up with a git diff to make sure I'm doing the things I thought I was going to do to the files I was going to do. So, and that's just one of these finger macros that you just get in the habit of doing. and it becomes kind of automatic, like anything else. Yep, that's what I want to do. Yep, that's what I don't want to do that. We can't be doing that. Let me go get rid of that file. That sort of thing. And before you do the commit and fix it up.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. I follow the same practices, Harold.
Yeah, one thing I do before I commit is I do a diff on all the files that changed, and then I can put a good commit history or the comment that whatever it's called. Because I might have been working on it for a couple hours, or might have taken a break overnight and gotten back on it before I fixed the problem. And
Yep. I'll tell you in my professional day to day. Sometimes I do what you do there, Mike. But what happens is on my professional things, whether if I at the end of the day, at the end of every day, I may not merge or my branch back in that I'm working on, because sometimes it takes a few days or a week, or unfortunately sometimes a couple of weeks. But long-lived branches are a problem. That's another story though. But at the end of every day for my clients, I will do a get commit, whatever I have, whether it's working or not. Sometimes I leave myself an error so that when I come in the next day and I hit the run button, the error pops up, and that's where I need to start working again. But at the end of every day, I still commit it, and I push my branch up to the project repository so that if I get hit by a bus or my laptop gets run over by a tractor or whatever other thing happens to it, the work that I've done is guaranteed not to be on my box, and is hopefully someplace safe that if somebody needed to pick up on it, they could go pick up on it, or myself, because something else happened. It's on there. That's just the standard practice of what I do. Habits.
Okay. Well, it's 9:23. I think it's, unless somebody else has something, I'm going to drop off.
What time are we starting? What time are we starting on Saturday?
I think 10, right?
10.
If you want to come help lay out stuff, come at 9.
Come at 9. Okay, because I've got some, like I said, I got a good amount of Arduinos and stuff. Some of them are older, but they're still useful.
Yeah.
Just not going to do anything with them. I'm going to bring all of that and any of these other boards that I've had laying around, so that if anybody wants them, they can have them. I'll leave them, since they're Arduinos, and some of them are educational based. You know, they got an Arduino and got an Uno and a breadboard right next to it, and that kind of stuff. And they got some stuff in there with sensors that were given to me, and I think they could go to a good home, and that kind of stuff. And somebody will use them more than I will. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'll be bringing some of that, plus my robots. I've got a lot of coding to do.
You might drop a note on the DPRG list in case somebody wants to come by.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
Because, you know, depending on where the person is, you know, a lot of people are still, you know, I use Arduinos when this thing's simple and I want fast turnaround, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you want something really small and simple, or you want to try to hook up a sensor and figure something out real fast, yeah, I got a bunch of these little things. You can have them just sitting around for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got, you know, I've probably got a slew of Arduino Unos and stuff. I don't need anymore.
Yeah, but no, I thought that's what I was envisioning people using these things for.
Yeah.
Or in this case, if you want something control just one section of your robot, I mean, it's still an Arduino. It don't cost you nothing.
Yeah.
You know, use it.
Yeah. I'm going to also be bringing to the meeting a couple of breadboards. You know, the ones with the little pushy on it, push them in. I found them at the Makerspace today, and I brought them home and gave a look over. And they're actually nice little. They were originally made to go for a basic stamp, but you know, with removing a few screws. Well, actually, the way it looks like you just not have a basic stamp in there, and you have, I think they have a little display on there, and they have, you know, it's kind of like a workboard, you know, we got different places to put different sensors and stuff. So I'm going to bring 2 of those and dump them in the pile. So, and maybe some other stuff. I'll have to look. I don't know if I can look fast enough. You know, I have to dig through it. So,
Yeah, I can drop a note to the list saying, hey, there'll be free stuff if you want to. Arduinos and cables and.
I got several boxes of. I say boxes.
But when you give me a couple of words that describe the contents, Harold.
Okay. I've got some Arduino Unos. I got some basic. I think I got a number of sensors in there. I've got.
Yeah, that might interest me.
Yeah, I've got some pieces of part of. If you remember back a few years ago, the Johnny 5 stuff, the JavaScript based things that people were doing. I've got some of those sensors in there. In fact, I got. Oh, one second. I just pulled this box off the top so I could show you what was in it. You want to pin me up there. So, I got a Raspberry Pi of some sort. These are probably 2s. I got some wires and things. I've got an LED matrix of stuff that people can have. Another Raspberry, that's a 2. A smattering of other things, a bunch of Arduinos, and I've got some environmental sensor thing that's pretty cool too. There's a bunch of sensors in it.
I can put some words around that, Harold. Thank you.
Yeah, but like I say, you see the box of junk that's in here, right? And I got 3 or 4 big boxes. They say 3 or 4. I got probably a half a dozen boxes of this size full of various bits and pieces and parts and stuff like that.
Yeah. Just to step back for a moment to the Git K, I found I needed to pull down to expose a hidden window. But the thing to know that is useful about Git K is you can click on any commit up here in the pane view, and you see the comment that was the commit comment, but down below on the right hand pane you see what files were changed in this commit, and then for each file it shows you what was changed specifically. So green is added lines, red is deleted lines, so you can step down the list of files and see what all changes were made. So it's just like incredibly powerful to figure out, hey, what did you do when you made this change? So that was all I wanted to do, was finish out that. Okay, I heard a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you, if not next week, on Saturday, hopefully.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Paul, did you capture all of the chat?
Yeah, I'm just about to copy it and paste it into. Thank you for the reminder. I've forgotten that before, but I didn't forget. What's the best way to paste it in and send it to you? Is it like in a Google Doc?
Well, actually, what Carl does is he just copies it and sends it and just sends it in an email. Just does a copy and then he just pastes it into an email. And yeah, because I came late, so I didn't.
Yeah.
You know,
Let me just stop recording.